So today we are going to work with the centimeter side of a standard ruler. So the centimeter side is this side right here. So just clarifying that if you're not paying attention, you will later on be using this side and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. This side today. Later we'll deal with the inches side, but for today we're just going to work on the metric side, the centimeter side. And this, my friends, is 1 centimeter. The distance from here to there is 1 centimeter, as indicated by the 1 there. Of course, they break that up, though, into smaller pieces to help for accuracy and precision and so forth. So the marks here are called millimeters, and they are 1/10 of a centimeter. So what that means, and we'll go and look at our diagram here to kind of blows everything up and makes it easier to see. That means it is if this is 1 centimeter, 1/10 of something is of 1 is 0.1. So this first mark is 0.1 centimeters. So a quick set of counting here. So if that's 0.1, this is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. This middle mark is 0.5 centimeters. So let's take a look at it and say, all right, so what if a measurement is, say, let me get a sharper pencil here if I can find one. Let's see if this works. So let's say a measurement is right here, though. So the thing we're measuring ends right there. Well, it's between 2 millimeters. So let's see, if this is 0.5, that makes this 0.6. This 0.7, we haven't made it to 0.8 yet. So the first number we're going to write is 0.7. But it's past that a little bit. So we're going to have to put a number here. If it's exactly in the middle like this, we'll go with 5. So that would be 0.75. But what if a measurement is, say, like here? Almost to this one, but not quite. So we would call that, well, let's see, it's 1 centimeter, so that's a whole number. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. It doesn't make it to 0.4, so that's 1.3, and then it's almost to 4, so we're going to say that's 1.39 or something. Now, somebody else might say 1.38. Somebody might even say, yeah, it's 1.4. My eyes aren't good enough. Sometimes I don't always pick up exactly where it is. A lot of times if it's in between 2 millimeters, I mean, let's look at it real quick. This distance between 2 millimeters is not a lot of space. So if it's somewhere in between, oftentimes I'll just call it, I'll go with the 5 option. But so different people might have slightly different measurements. That's okay. So let's do a little practice down here on this part of the paper. And by the way, this paper is either already in your notebook or will be put in your notebook later, depending. So this object, which ends here, so we're zoomed in and we're looking at it, it ends, where would you say, what would you say that measurement is to there? So we look at it, and I would pause the video and try it and see if you get what I get. 3 point, because that's the whole number. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5. So that's 6, 7, 8. We don't make it to 9, so we're going to go with 3. And then so we've got to figure out this number. This is the one we're kind of all going to guess at. I might say it's 3. Somebody else might say it's 2 or 1. Somebody might even say it's 4. There's any number of possibilities for that. But anything close to that is fine. So if you had a slightly different number, that's fine. And every time we write down a measurement, we should write down the units. In this case, it's centimeters. So for this one, I should have written centimeters and centimeters here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to actually practice using the ruler itself. So some rulers, like this one, the 0 mark is a line that is away from the edge of the ruler. There are others, like this one, where, oh, not this one, sorry, I thought it was this one. Hold on. I lost them. Hold on. It's got to be here somewhere. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Okay. some of the other, sorry for the delay, but some of them end with 0 right at the edge of the ruler, like right here. So make sure you know which one you're working with. You don't always line up the edge of the ruler with the thing that you're measuring. We'll use this one as best we can. I'm not crazy about these ones because there's this little gap between the marks and the edge of the ruler, so it's a little harder to read, but we'll try. I'll suffer with you here. So we're going to measure the length, or you're going to measure the length of this line from there to there. So we're going to line up this end with the end of that line as best we can. And then we're going to take a look at this end. Move my thumb out. There we go. And let's see. So I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing we don't make it to 3, so 2.35 maybe? Looks like it's in between these two. So I would call that 2.35. And we're going to write your answer in this box over here. 2.35. Now you may have something slightly different. You may have just 2.3 or 2.4 or maybe 2.34 or something like that, but notice it should be in that neighborhood. Notice I also have the units here for you already, but in future ones you're going to have to put the units. So take a shot at this line right here. What's its length? So for this one, you could argue that it's right even with 6. You could argue that it's maybe 5.97. It's very close to 6. So if you said 6 centimeters, you're probably pretty good. But you could also say something like 5.97 or 5.98 maybe in that region, almost to 6 centimeters. So the only other twist we're going to throw to this is problems like this, where I give you a rectangle. And we're just going to apply the concept of area for a rectangle and perimeter of a rectangle to find both of those for this. So first thing we have to do though is measure the length, which in this case I'm going to call here to here, and then the width, measure from here to here. So why don't you take a second and do that. And once again, you should be doing it, try to do it ahead of me before I do it to see if what you get matches what I get, instead of just waiting for me to write it down and then writing it down. Because if all you do is watch this video and write down what I write down, you probably don't understand how to do this. All right, so we're going to use the camera to help my eyes and zoom in a little bit. Let's see if we can do that a lot. I can't seem to get zoomed. Oh yeah, I can't zoom in on the camera thing. So this is as close as we're going to get. So I'm going to go with 7.3, it looks like to me. So I'm going to call that 7.3 centimeters. And then the width, I'm going to say I'm going to go 1.75. Looks like it's between these two. So I'm going to go 1.75. Now, to find the area and the perimeter, we're going to use these equations that are shown over here on the left. This is one of those situations where you could go green zone, pull out your phone. We're going to take, let's see, length times width. Let me back out of this a little bit. So we're going to go length times width. So we're going to do 7.35, 7.3 is all that was, times 1.75 and get an answer. So I got an area of 12, this didn't work, of 12 point, I'm going to round it, 12.78. Notice that when you do an area, the units aren't just centimeters, they're square centimeters. And all that means is, ready? This is the extra lesson you're getting. The unit we measure, so if this is a centimeter, say from, whoops, well here I should use the correct thing here to help you guys out. So this distance here is a centimeter, about here. And this distance here is also a centimeter. from this corner over, I'll mark a centimeter. Then what we know is that this, right here, roughly speaking, maybe more like this, that this is a square centimeter. It's a little tile. Imagine a square centimeter is a little tile that is a square, and it's a centimeter on each side. And how many of those squares do you think would fit inside this shape? Well, that many of them. 12 full ones and 0.78. So that's what the idea behind area, and that's why we use these little squares, because they represent little squares that are a centimeter on a side. Perimeter is the distance around an object. So one of the ways to calculate that is to double the length, so 2 times that, plus, and then add it to double the width. You can type it all at once on a calculator if you'd like. You can go 2 times, that's it, when they're written right next to each other, that's what it means, times the length, 7.3, plus 2 times the width, which is 1.75. I get about 18.1. That would just be centimeters, because that's the distance around the object. It's linear. So that's the basics. Remember, this is going to either in your notebook already, or it's going to go in your notebook. The next thing I want you to look at, I'm just going to run through with you, is this worksheet. I'm just going to go through, so I've taught you all you need to know. It's just a matter of making sure that you understand what the worksheet is asking you for. So first, you don't actually use your ruler to measure these. They want you to use this pretend ruler down here. So when they say, what's the measurement for A, you're just going to look right here. And in this case, we'll do this one real quick. A looks like it's about 0.4. You might say a little more, but we'll just say 0.4 for now. 0.4 centimeters. What about C? What about the length of this one? So we're going to see where this line goes. It's right down in here. C looks like it's definitely between 3.7 and 3.8. In fact, I'm going to say it's about halfway between. So we're going to call C, back out again. I'm going to call C, let me get this, 3.75. And you do the rest of them the same kind of way. Now, down here, it's relatively straightforward. Math people, when they say difference, they mean subtract. So when they say what is the difference in lengths between A and C, they want you to take C minus A. So we would take the number we had here minus that one. When they say what is the difference between B and E, you guessed it, E minus B. All right, on the back, here's what they expect. Try to follow along on this one. If you have to go back to the video when you go to do this, that's fine. But if you imagine this box, they want a certain length. What length do they want? Well, it's like it's got little arms that go out and little fingers that point. Hey, I want you to measure from here to there. So for this box, you're going to measure the distance with your ruler from here to there. All right, what about this box? It's asking, if you follow it, it goes over, and this line goes all the way to this corner. It wants the distance from that corner to, let's see, this line goes to this corner. So this box, they want you to measure from here to here. What about this box? This is interesting. This box wants you to measure from this corner as well, or this side really, to how far the center of the circle is. Because if somebody was putting the circle in this, they want to know where to put it. Notice this is the little line that points to where they want you to measure. If it's easier, you can measure from here to here then, because that really would be the same distance. Likewise, this box, you can measure from here to here. So new symbol, and the next one for this box, this symbol means diameter. So for a circle, your diameter is any line that cuts through the center. So if you draw this line and measure the distance from here to here, that'll be the diameter. But it's got to go through the center. And this, well, this arc is a quarter of a circle. You could almost, if you imagine, if you think about it, you can imagine the rest of it would look like something like this, roughly. They want you to measure the radius of that circle, and I've indicated what that would be. That would be from the center to here. By the way, it would also also be the distance from the center to here, or the center to here, or the center to here. They all should be the same distance. That's the idea behind a circle. But if it helps, just measure from here to there, and write down. Make sure you put your units, and then when you're done that, you are going to bring it to your teacher and turn it in. And you are then going to begin on the last part of today's work is measuring each of these lengths in centimeters and finding the area and perimeter of each of these rectangles. Your answers, listen carefully, your answers to this go on this paper. So you can see number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all lengths. And then the other ones have area and perimeter. That's going to be for these. So you're going to measure, and you can write on this paper if you like, but your answers need to go on this paper. And this paper, if it isn't already, is going to go in your notebook at some point. One last thing with this. When your teacher grades this, there's different students have different versions of this. So look for a letter up here. Whatever that letter is on the paper, please write it here on this paper. So that when I go to grade this, or your teacher goes to grade this, they know that for paper number letter C, how long this should be. And that way, if you're copying somebody else's answers, we can figure that out. Okay, I think that should set you. You should not take an entire period on this, to be honest. You should have plenty of time at the end if you work even remotely hard at the beginning. So there should be no excuses for not finishing this. If you have any questions, see your teacher, and hopefully they'll be able to help you out. Good luck.